Hello. This video is about Zaffar Kunial's book, England's Green. This is Kunial's second poetry collection. He is one of contemporary Britain's most interesting and engaging poets. He is from northern England. He was born in Birmingham, and he now lives in West Yorkshire. And the reason that biographical information is important is because these poems, to me, feel very north of England. They feel very much like they come from this somewhat more sort of traditional, and I mean, not to put a political point on it, but the sort of the region of the country that was more likely to vote for Brexit, as opposed to places like London and Manchester, and Scotland, of course. But this sort of more old England type place. A lot of the poems have to do with nature. They're nature poetry about hedges. Actually, one of the first poem I'm going to read you out of this collection is called The Hedge, so I'll just go ahead and give that to you now. The Hedge. This place is full of them. England, Britain, its green envelope, hedges, or the unflagging, unflappable ghost of hedges at the shore of eyesight or running along the curb. Thorned blank verse, strange runes, folioed text, what is behind the same hedge from one day to the next can be from somewhere entirely elsewhere. Perhaps another time, a bewitched curtain. I know the scratches that come from seeking the lost in a hedge, scratches you didn't know were happening, the unexpected denseness, the unexpected release. From the dark thicket of light. It was today's light, I think, that pulled an old hedge out of thick air's sleeve, and with it a disappeared wicket, a Springfield street, a book with cursive black swords, a satchel, a bricked-up church door, a truant morning, perhaps Birmingham, perhaps the whole of unknown England and beyond. So again, there is this very distinct sense of place, of sort of regionality that's tied to these elements like hedges, but other types of flora as well. It is a collection that is fascinated with plants, flowers, gardens, green spaces. And again, these are very traditionally English things. You think about, for instance, the Romantic poets, Wordsworth, Shelley, Keats. They loved nature. They loved plants. The English are famous for their gardens, and different periods of English history have had different gardening styles. The sort of geometric Elizabethan gardens, the wild natural gardens, constructed nature of the Regency era, etc., etc. The idea of and the idea of the village green, right? Famously, the Kinks, one of my favorite English rock bands, has a song called "We Are the Village Green Preservation Society."
We are the Village Green Preservation Society.
It is a satirical take on the sort of the image of the village green as this traditional center of English life, and yet in these poems, in England's Green, in Kunial's work, I don't really see that sort of satirical element. I don't see a kind of mockery of the idea of this traditional English culture. But I want to give you just a couple more poems that are really connected to plants, to botany, flowers, or trees, or whatever it is. So this one is called Hawthorn. I like it when memories aren't pinned haughtily to words, but come to find them slowly on the bridge of a warm breeze filled emptily with blackbird songs, a robin twisting its invisible screw, and a more piercing song I can't yet name, and beside it a scent that belongs at the slow start of another summer, alive and pungent and unattached, then to the off-white flowers a little distance off from this bench, and the name. Uh, Actually, I'm going to hold the other one for just a moment. Um, there are other sort of themes here that are sort of central to Kunial's sort of ode to England, or old England, maybe. Um, I'll read you this poem. It's called England, with an epigraph from T.S. Eliot. History is now and England. T.S. Eliot's Little Gidding. We all have lives that go on without us. I've a cricket, me who didn't stop like that, was that, when my bat had felt as heavy as England, and I took no wickets while the coach stood in my net in the second and final trial for Warwickshire. A bear and staff on my jumper perhaps later, but those butterflies, it thundered outside on that second day. Life forks and stops where another follows on. England's Moen Ali went to my school. His dad's from Dajjal. Mine's up in the village over the bridge. I don't know if he knows what I do now. Dad, I mean. We all have lives that go on without us, unwritten. I have history on grounds I've not played on. Grace Road, the Oval, Eden Gardens. We all have lives that go on without us. It matters where the line breaks. I knew I should pursue this future. That was almost behind me, at the wood's edge, a realm between weathers where losses and times fold at the crease, clueless as to what it was or for whom. And I want to read you one more that's in this sort of vein. So that was a very sort of direct England and English traditional culture poem, right? Cricket, a game that Americans famously don't know what to make of. It's a very traditional English game, and it is still played. Recently, I was in southwest London, I guess, in Twickenham, basically, or thereabouts, and we saw cricket being played on, maybe it was Richmond. I don't remember. I don't remember exactly where it was. It might have been the Richmond Green. I don't remember. Anyway, southwest London, we saw cricket being played on a village green. It's still there. Still there. But I'll say more about that in just a second. But this is another one. Bascote Heath, Long Itchington. And there is a sort of a reverence for history, a reverence for genealogy, family history, connections, things like this, in particular elements of English society, and this is what this poem sort of plays with. Suggests, again, a sort of satirical intent that I don't largely see in Kunial's poetry. So Bascote Heath, Long Itchington. I see. This is the shape remembrance takes. To get it, the scale had to be brought home. Picture the dead moving in one long, continuous column four abreast. As the column's head reaches the cenotaph, the last four men would be at Durham. In India, that column would stretch from Lahore to Delhi. Whichever the country, it would take 3.5 days, this snaking march, before the tail caught up with the head. Somewhere on the way you'd find two who share a strand of my DNA. So here I am, standing at the cenotaph, a century on, the center of London. To my eyes, this column seems made of limestone, dense skeletal fragments of coral and shell, returning to that long-imagined march You'd be somewhere in the Midlands, I'd guess, between London and Durham, perhaps Bascote, where you, Lance Corporal Albert Everetts of the Royal Warwickshires, were born in Bascote, killed near Basra, and unburied like your son, killed somewhere at the Somme, Private Roland Everetts, of that first battalion which braved no man's land in the Christmas truce. Who knew? In your local church I found you, on opposed pages in a memorial book. I first spotted your names behind the altar in Long Itchington. I'd gone to Warwickshire for grades, armed with my mother's maiden name. 3.5 football teams, someone has added in blue biro. Now in London what I'm reading doesn't say much, but this isn't weathering, where soft limestone loses letters or mosses names. It wants to be plain, the glorious dead. Repeated either side, and all else is blank but for Roman numerals, your upright coffin. I see the whole thing as a numeral now. One, I call it what you will. This upright cenotaph. On the 1911 census, I found you both under one roof, father and son, limestone quarryman. I see you, arms raised in unison, hacking down at the stone, driving a wedge into the slab. Now, and now, on this curbed island, I've been here for 2 hours, moved and fixed as a capital's traffic passed. I've heard the bells of Big Ben twice. I want to cross over, to home in on the peak of your empty tomb, but cars and cabs strand me for now a long way from where you set out, at this stone column that stands for you, this I that I've been stood here speaking to. So, again, there's this sort of element of, especially the fact that it's a World War I, World War II, the commemoration of the World Wars in the UK is incredibly important. You go everywhere you go, basically in the UK, there are monuments to the local, often men who lost their lives. Often nowadays, especially, there are monuments to local women who served in whatever capacity. And so again, this is a collection. This is a collection really fascinated with sort of English culture, English traditions, and yet at the same time, there is a clear distance. It's worth noting again biographically, Kunial's mother is English, his father is Kashmiri. And so the speaker in a lot of these poems, and I don't want to import too much biographical information here, but the speaker in a lot of these poems has this sense of sort of divided self, right? Where there's the English half and the South Asian half. And they don't necessarily always mesh in a way that makes for an easy understanding of identity. And yet, that is itself quite a British thing today, right? Britain is a multicultural nation. The place where we are in London, in Paddington, right next to Edgware Road. Edgware Road is probably the most, probably has more per capita people of Middle Eastern descent than any other portion of London. It's a district, it's an area, it's a road that has tons and tons and tons of people of Middle Eastern descent. Probably more people of Middle Eastern descent than more people of sort of white English heritage. And yet, Edgware Road is a central sort of hub of London. It's an important component of this city and life in the city. And so there is that sort of element of multicultural background, on the one hand, sort of undercuts a feeling of traditional Englishness. And yet, at the same time, it is straightforwardly central to contemporary British identity.